Welcome to VNews Broadcast Daily. I'm following at today's highlights.
Prime Minister hails the Vietnam Bar Federation for its role in gathering and uniting lawyers nationwide. The World Bank forecasts that Vietnam's inflation will decline to below 10% by the end of this year. The Consumer Price Index in May rises 0.18% from the previous month.
Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng highly valued the efforts and initial achievements recorded by the Vietnam Bar Federation (VBF) at a meeting with its leaders in Hanoi on May 24th.
Since its inception 3 years ago, the VBF has successfully performed its role in gathering and uniting lawyers nationwide and work as a bridge between the party, state, society, and lawyers. The VBF has actively contributed to judicial reform and the construction of a socialist law-governed state, while fulfilling political tasks assigned by the party and state, such as building and disseminating laws and joining with the government's Working Team 30 to review administrative procedures. Prime Minister Dũng urged the Federation to uphold the achievements and make every effort to overcome limitations as well as weaknesses to better perform their role in uniting lawyers across the country. He underlined the need to develop the Federation in a more sustainable manner in line with the process of industrialization, modernization, and international integration. At the meeting, VBF leaders raised a number of proposals and petitions to Prime Minister Dũng and competent ministries and branches. They asked the government to recognize October 10th as the traditional day of Vietnamese lawyers.
On May 23rd, Vice President Nguyễn Thị Doan had a meeting with Nagoya Mayor Takashi Kawamura. The Vice President is in Japan to attend the International Future of Asia Conference in Tokyo on May 24th and 25th.
The Vice President affirmed that the operation of more than 30 Nagoya businesses in Vietnam and the development of Vietnamese community in Nagoya are a vivid manifestation of the developing relationship between Vietnam and Nagoya. She expressed her hope that as the Vietnam-Japan Friendship Year 2013 approaches, Nagoya City will soon set up cooperation with a Vietnamese city, contributing to ties between the two countries. Mayor Takashi Kawamura introduced the city's potential for cooperation with Vietnam, especially in the auto industry, mechanical engineering, aviation and space, and robotic manufacturing. Nagoya is cooperating with Vietnam in a number of economic projects, training Vietnamese students and participating in humanitarian medical checkups and treatment activities in the country.
The Ministry of Justice held a forum for policy dialogue on perfecting laws on human rights in Hanoi on May 23rd. The forum was to update information and discuss issues relating to the improvement of laws on human rights in Vietnam.
The Vietnamese state always pays special attention to protecting human rights. At national level, basic human rights are acknowledged in the Constitution, institutionalized in many laws and legal documents, and implemented in reality. At international level, the country has actively participated in and strictly observed important international treaties on human rights. In 2011, the country conducted 2 studies as part of a project to strengthen access to justice and rights protection in Vietnam, to review contradictions and overlaps in the legal system on some civil and political rights. They also assessed the compatibility of criminal and criminal procedure laws with International Convention on Human Rights, to which Vietnam is a member. At the event, participants discussed the role of the Ministry of Justice in perfecting laws on human rights and implementing Universal Periodic Review recommendations. They heard reports on reviewing the regulations of Vietnamese law on some civil and political rights and assessing the compatibility of the criminal and criminal procedure laws with international conventions on human rights.
The Trans-Pacific Partnership (TPP) and its effect on businesses was the subject of a seminar held in Hanoi on May 23rd. The forum was co-organized by the government and the Vietnam Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
In November 2010, Vietnam officially took part in negotiations on the TPP, along with 8 other countries, including Australia, Brunei, Chile, Malaysia, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and the US. The countries concerned have held 12 previous rounds of talks and are trying to bring negotiations to a close for the benefit of all concerned. The talks, which cover a broad range of areas, are the most important free trade talks that Vietnam is taking part in at present. An agreement would have great impact on the business communities in every sector in every country, as well as on the society in general. It can be said that joining in these international trade negotiations are in the best interests of Vietnamese businesses. Therefore, businesses should contribute their voice to the talks so that the negotiation reflect the interests of the business community and the country's economy as a whole. By joining the TPP negotiations, Vietnam aims to expand its export market and attract more foreign investors, which will create more opportunities. This is just one of the advantages the TPP brings. The country also hopes that being part of the TPP will help with its economic transformation towards a more sustainable, dynamic, and effective growth model.
The World Bank forecasts that Vietnam's inflation will decline to below 10% by the end of this year. The country's economic growth this year is expected to reach around 5.7%.
In its latest East Asia and Pacific Economic Update report released in Hanoi on May 23rd, the World Bank said Vietnam's economy is gradually entering a more stable macroeconomic environment after a prolonged period of heightened turbulence. The country's real GDP growth decelerated from 6.8% in 2010 to 5.9% in 2011 and further to 4% in the first quarter of 2012. According to the report, tighter domestic policies in 2011 have dampened investment, particularly in infrastructure and real estate and private consumption. Thanks to a combination of these measures and falling food prices, inflation declined to 10.5% year-on-year in April 2012 from a peak of 23% in August 2011. Vietnam's near-term policy challenge is to maintain macroeconomic stability and restore confidence among investors, while also addressing longer-term structural reforms, the report said.
The Consumer Price Index (CPI) in May rose 0.18% against last month, despite recent increases in petrol price and minimum salary.
With this slight rise, the index rose 8.34% against the same period last year. 9 out of 11 groups of commodities saw price hikes ranging from 0.33% to 3.09%. The group of other goods and services experienced the highest price rise, while pharmaceuticals and health services saw the lowest price increase. 2 groups of commodities that enjoyed price falls were restaurants and catering services and housing and building materials. The slight CPI increase in May is attributable to declining prices of restaurants and catering services, which account for 40% of the goods basket. In addition, construction material producers has to lower the prices of their products to reduce stock price and increase competitiveness, and the reduction in gas prices also contributed to reducing the CPI rise this month.
The Da Nang International Paramotor Race kicks off on May 23rd with the participation of 25 competitors from Japan, France, the United States and Poland.
The 5-day competition themed Da Nang A New Height is judged on airspeed, flying to avoid obstacles, flying in formation, and flying for rescue. According to the organizing board, the competition gathers experienced parachutists from around the world, providing visitors and local people with spectacular performances. During the event, visitors have also the chance to fly with international pilots.
And this is the end of the news today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.